Afternoon folks, today we've got a slightly different challenge. We've got to do the levelling up of these chassis. So
we've got a tube, we've got these which we're going to attach to each end.
Oh wait. Great obedience there, dog, well done. Right, I'll try and fill this up.
all good? So what, we now need to bleed it out so there's no air in it? Okay, we're almost there with our water level. It's pretty much full, but there's still some air bubbles in there. So I'm going to try and siphon it through, rather than kind of trying to fill it one end and let it flow through, bleed through. If we siphon it, then there's no chance of air getting in. We can put our thumb over the end. That looks like the last of it. Probably easier ways to do this. Oh, we've got a cap, haven't we? Right, no air bubbles in sight now. Right, I think we're finally at a point where we can use it. It shouldn't be this hard, but I finally got my head around it. I was just kind of working on the numbers, but actually let's just forget the numbers are even there. I've set it so the water level, we're at the high end, we know this is high up here. The water level is at the same height as the surface of our floor. And if that's our finished floor level this end, we just need to, we are as low as we can be this end. These guys here have got nothing on them. Then we can go the other end. We need to take that up. But we're quite a lot lower. Because as you can see, we're about 50 mil too low this end. Quick explainer on why we went with the water level. Water levels don't need a line of sight, so it's not like a laser or anything like that. They can be any length really. We could be 100 meters or we could be 1 meter. As long as the water level is the same both ends and there's no air bubbles along the way, we know it's level. We can go around obstacles, we can go one side of the house to another, we can go in and around underneath here, and what's more, it doesn't take any sight survey skills or fancy lasers to do it. Just under a millimeter difference. 14 millimeters there. Done away with the little scales on the tube. There's just no point in them. All we're interested in is the level of that water. So tape measure is fine. So we are 14 down there, and we are 14 and a half, I'd say. Just kissing the jack there. But these chassis are welded in such a way they've got that kind of camber in them, yeah? Upside down camber. So they're 40 mil higher. If they were just sat on a level floor in a factory, they're about 40 mil higher each end. So by leveling each end, putting that on a jack, we've then got this dip in the middle which we need to jack up. Now when we start messing around with the middle, it's going to throw the ends a bit because there's nothing holding them where they're meant to be. It's really designed in such a way that once you've got enough weight on it, it flattens itself out. But before that point, how do you build on something that's shaped like a saucer? God, it's getting safer by the moment. Any more children? Right.
Yes.
Can you tell me when the bubble's in the middle? Now we've got that side level and no dip in it, we need to start on this one. So we're using a couple of blocks. We'll need the blocks right at the end of the level. Okay. Just to make sure the glue doesn't interfere. I'm not sure where we left our last little bit. We got this one all leveled up. We're happy with that now. But we do need to get this one put into place. So what we're going to do is we're going to tow it out, get it as close as we can, and then we're going to do a bit of a slidey rolly across. too bad. I kind of promised in a previous video that these were going to be quite primitive methods. Of course we're using a tractor. Levelling up with the water level is just a go-to way for modern day and ancient building. I don't know if it was the pyramids or something like that. You know, water has been used for levelling buildings for centuries, if not millennia. However, the idea to get this one to be completely tight against here was also going to be some sort of primitive technology. We were going to lift this one up onto a couple of sleepers and then use scaffold poles underneath to just roll it in. Experience from our winch that we used on the scaffolding when we did the roofing, the use of a pulley will basically double our power. But for this instance we don't need that, so I can leave that loose. I guess we're going to leave it on the cable, because this alone will still pull kind of 1.7 tons. Of course, if we use the pulley, we double the capacity, but we shorten the length of the cable, and we probably need the full length of it. Now some of you might be saying, well, why haven't you just bought some dollies to go under the wheels, little cradles to sit under the wheels? And some of you have probably typed that already. However, I had contemplated that. I just don't think those casters look like they're for really smooth workshop floors. I don't think they handle this sort of really rough concrete. You can get chain kind of pulley systems, or not pulley systems, but conveyors that you sit it on, but they don't seem to take the same weight as what we need for this. So what I'm looking at is using 4 poles and then push it across a bit. As soon as this one's freed up, then we can loop it out, drop it in the other side. The only issue is our beam here is not fixed to the steel chassis, so I've got to hope that that just stays on by friction. It should do, because out of the two it's going to be the most friction, if that makes sense. It's going to roll rather than slide. Okay, a bit tight.
Squeeze, breathe in.
We're now on the poles, I think.
He sounds really confident, doesn't he?
I think
One of
the
those
actual
things
pulling
where
might
he's
be
been
okay.
thinking about, and when you're actually doing it, you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Like, just,
I hadn't
it's
thought
one
about
of
the
those,
wheels getting in the way.
Yeah, but it's one of those that until you do it, you can't see the
I
problem.
think if we had like the little bottle jacks, it'd be easier, but I
Yeah.
can't get a jack in here at all. I don't really want to get the one out of the car.
If it starts rolling, could you get crushed?
No, not
Good.
at all.
Good.
And the only thing it could do is
Fine.
roll your way, but the winch will be on it, and it can't roll down that way because the tractor's there.
At least I can move.
That's done something.
Well, it is so close now. We are lined up. We just got to come down this way a little bit, but I can do that afterwards, I think. Change of plan a little bit. I'm going to slide myself underneath. I'm going to get the winch out, and then I'm going to hook it on the ends here. Get one end in, put a temporary bolt between the two, and then try and pull the other end up tight. Too much, actually.
You can push it.
When do we know that one's level?
Oh yeah, it's really good, Tim.
It doesn't matter where, you can go under here, just a little smudge. Yeah, you're in. Okay, I think one jack and one pump and you'd be up. Oh, hang on. You're lifting both because they're touching slightly. Right, we're just trying to bolt up this end, just with some temporary bolts. Once they're in, then we should be able to leave this alone, head that end and try and pull that end in. We know this is the right height, give or take now. So we need to get this one up, get some stands under it. There's got to be easier ways to do this. If you are in the caravan shifting industry, please email me. No. Oh, who's calling me now? Several hundred fence posts are arriving right now. Simple little bottle jack. This is 6 tons, and thinking about it, I probably could have got the next size up for when we are sighting it, but I've got 2 of these now. They're very inexpensive. I think they were £12, and this we'll probably have to put a block on it just to get the raise. You know, it's only going to lift about 300, but it depends. We might be able to get it under the wheel axle chassis bit, but we should be able to jack this up now, independent from the other chassis, and then get our stands under it. See, we've got a bit of a wonk on this one from when we yanked at the tractor. Well, I've got the go-ahead from Joe. This section, it's all flush on top, so what I'm going to do is move, well, I'm going to have to go down the middle one, so go beyond the wheels, and then we can just put one more stand in on there. We're back, the silly hat's on, which means only one thing, it's going to be another hot day. We are going to finish our east wall today, so we need to get it lying flat here. Finish the final 3 panels, which is one more bedroom, front door, then the living area, and then we're almost ready to stand the walls. This one is a full length, 400. This is why we should have bought everything in one single batch. I hadn't anticipated that CLS would vary this much. So this is the old panel, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
and all old timber, in the first batch of timbers. These, we ordered some extra 4.8 metre lengths, and they are, what would you say, 3 mil?
2 mil.
2 mil narrower. They're about 36 mil. Which doesn't sound much, but when you've got one at the bottom, one at the top, well, there's going to be a double top, that's how much shorter it's going to end up. So, because we'd already pre-cut all of our studs, which are all perfectly matched, we're going to have to recut the studs. That is so annoying. We had 12 studs there, all ready to just slide on and go, but we're going to have to use them for something else and oversize these studs to account for these being narrower. This hat is terrible. We were just saying there's a benefit of having these 2 frames lying next to each other. If we'd been building them one panel at a time, we wouldn't have spotted that until we come to put them up. Right, that's it one all framed in. It is easy when you've got the right measurements and everything's cut. Right, that middle panel is done now, so we're going to move on and get these two done, but we decided we're just going to do them as one, but in two sections. So we'll just butt them up tight, that way we can measure all of our studs off fine. We know it runs through, it just means that when we actually need to handle them, they're a bit lighter.
Well, the day, no, what am I saying? Another week. And we are one step closer. We've now levelled, we've pushed them together, the floor is set. Now there is a bit of a gap down the middle, but we're not going to worry about that because we've just spent probably about the best part of today trying to sort it out. Stick around because framing is happening and then the walls can go up. I hope you've enjoyed it and we'll see you next time. And remember, if you can, do it yourself.